to do so much online, but when we're working with clients and focusing on their strategy, we always let them know that there's a number of components to their marketing, and they have to really think through on how each of those pieces can effectively grow their business. And we always bring in, your marketing material, and this needs to be print material. So a lot of people are trying to think, okay, well, I have these free social media platforms. I'm now going to go online and order my print material. What say you on that? I mean,
that's a tough market for printers.
Yeah.
That's a really uphill battle for every brick and mortar print operation. Mm-hmm. All I can say to that is, you got to do what you got to do for your business to save money and be profitable. You have your responsibility to your business first. But you got to also think that when you go online and you upload that file, who checked it with you? Who,
mm-hmm.
You got all your people inside your box in your world looking at it saying, this looks great, send it out. But when you take it to a professional, like a brick and mortar operation, and you walk in with that file, whether it's on your phone, on your flash drive, you print it out, or you ask us to print it out, we could look at that file and say, hey, it's a great design you did here, but I see a problem. Your font's too small. It's hard to read. It mm-hmm. looks great on the screen when it's blown up on a 21-inch monitor, but when you're reducing it down to a 3.5-inch business card on the width, it's too small. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to read it. Or it's white type on a black background. Well, the black's going to bleed when it hits the paper, and it's going to like flush out your type. It's going to make it disappear almost. So there's a lot of basically what I'm trying to say is, bring it to a professional to take a look at and see what he says about it. Go outside your box and bring it to someone who knows mm-hmm. printing.
I totally agree with that, because I know, trying to think, there a few years ago when we were just starting our business, I think when Vistaprint was just coming out, mm-hmm. we actually ordered our first set of business cards.
Yep.
And it was like, that was our image, and that was an image I did not want to share out with anybody. One, the quality of the paper.
Yes.
It was terrible. I now know when I pick up my business cards from you, I'm very pleased. And also, I remember how many emails went back and forth from the person I was working with there at your shop, and I was bringing some things to his attention. He was bringing some things to my attention. And he was very patient and working with me. I would not have gotten that type of service had I gone to an online company. And I don't mean to just, make a mention of the Vistaprint, because they've done well for some people too. So, but there's a lot of different companies out there online. But when you have someone local like you that's going to take the time and really share your expertise.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, there's a lot of dynamics involved. It's paper stock. If you know what you're doing, you got a shot of going online and getting some pretty decent cards printed out. I can't argue that. The problem is there's not enough information out there for you to understand, why should I choose an 80-pound stock versus a 100-pound stock versus a 14 versus a 16-point stock? Why should I understand? I'll give a perfect example here. A lot of people like those wet, glossy-looking business cards. So they'll set up the art online and they'll have it printed. Now the problem is some of these people just want basic information and they order a white card with type and an image on it. Well, white's a very sterile color, mm-hmm. okay? And when you put a UV gloss on white, the UV gloss makes the color the paper stock turn a little yellow, looks a little dirty. If it was my recommendation, do not UV gloss a white business card, because it kind of cheapens up the look of it. You want to go with a natural finish mm-hmm. to it, or a semi-gloss or an uncoated stock. But, these are all things you have to look at the artwork and make the judgment call on it when you see the artwork. And that's the experience a lot of people don't have out there.
And that's why they need to have a printer like you, and why we do. And like I said, I was just so tickled.
You walk in and say, "Here, Rob, handle it. You do it."
Well, and you keep our artwork on hand. And let's just take our logo for So Social Radio Show. We actually went through Fiverr and had someone just kind of get some ideas. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't where we stopped. We brought it to you, and you punched it. We get the compliments on it now because of what your team has done to punch up our social radio show logo. So
we just, we always, again, that's just putting our best foot forward mm-hmm. is the best way I can explain it. When I see something and you're like, if you kick it back to us, we want more punch to it. I mean, I have a graphic designer on staff. I always do. I always believe you need a graphic designer on staff. And, between me and him kicking back the ideas and trying to bring it to the next level, I mean, it's kind of how we operate at my shop. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you're getting great compliments on it. The logo looks awesome. It looked great before I got it and looks even better now that we just tweaked it a little bit.
No, you tweaked it perfect because it had there was something missing when I looked at it. I told Richard I liked the start, but it wasn't complete. Yeah, so I said, we know where we're going.
Yeah, and we got like, I think I ordered from 5 when I was up there on Fiverr. I ordered 5 different graphics people just to see. I didn't want it from one.
Yeah, I
wanted to see what variances were, and we kind of like this one. And like I said, handed it over to you, and you made it magnificent.
Yeah, that's
from just a flat piece of graphic.
And here's the thing: if you in that job we did for you, we didn't do any print at all. I mean, and that's where one thing I want to bring up. That's where print shops need to head into. You don't necessarily have to do the print work. We could do the design work. And if you want to upload it somewhere, or you have another printer you're working with, but you want to use my shop to lay out or build or design, we'll be more than happy to do that. We can't be picky on what we choose and pick and everything. It's a different environment now, especially with online printing. And the stronger the more relationships we make, and the more services we offer, or the more helpful we are as a company, I believe you're going to get more business naturally.
Oh, no, definitely.
It makes absolute sense to me, across that whole spectrum, because it is about whether you're going to be remembered, sometime in the future when people want your services and they're looking for somebody.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's print, social media, radio, TV, or anything else.
And that's comes down to how I compete with online services. It comes down to customer service.
I was just saying, you hit the nail on the head with that, because it's relationship marketing, and we know that for ourselves. Even though we're on social media, we build a lot of relationships by picking up the phone or meeting them. We don't just do it all online.
Yep. You got to service the client.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And again, that's what helps you stand out. And as I said, I was so tickled, especially when I saw that our church uses you as the printer.
That was pretty cool.
and yeah, it was cool. And so when I found that out, and like I said, a lot of other people that mentioned it too. But I know that you have one passion that you have, and you probably are in a club. You love Mustangs, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Mustang guy.
So is that by joining? I was going to ask you some of the ways that you grow your business. I mean, as far as printing, I know you've got a great reputation, but do you get involved in some different associations as well?
Well, I get involved. I'm a board member on the Melbourne Police Foundation.
Okay, that's right. Nadine, I think, made a comment on that today.
It's an awesome foundation, and basically, we kind of help raise money for the Melbourne Police Department. It's basically for if they have something that they need, but the government there's no grants out there for them, or they need to write a grant for it, or it's just we kind of fill in the gaps of one time we bought all the police officers these specialty flashlights, and it was a very big deal for them because it helps them. It's a safety thing for them. Right. It was just a wonderful gift that we give them. We just bought them ballistic helmets. Was another thing we just accomplished. We help buy parts and pieces for the mobile command center, and we're always striving to do work which helps the Melbourne police officer.
I love that.
They have our backs, and I feel we need to have their backs.
Great cause. I love that. Just thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. I never did this before.
I know you're doing
I'm
awesome.
having fun.
Yeah,
you having fun? Yeah?
I'm having fun.
Good.
I'm loosening up a little bit.
Yeah, we knew you would. And I just want to remind our audience, if you have any questions at all, like I said, just you have to log on to Facebook, go to So Social Radio Show. You might want to give us a like while you're there as well, but there's a top pin post there. If you have any questions at all on, questions you may have about printing or some different things, why don't you let our audience know where you're located? We talked about you moving. What's your address and how they can get a hold of you?
We're at 2330 North Wickham Road. It's it's close to the corner of Lake Washington and Wickham Road. The best landmark I could put down for you guys is Boston Market and Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Everybody smiles. It's like, I know I'm going for lunch. But there's a little strip mall just a little south of Taco Bell. We actually share the same parking lot strip, and we're in that little strip mall there.
Yeah, when I first moved here, I lived over in that area. And I think there used to be a Baskin Robbins ice cream
There
shop.
was.
Now
There
they've
was.
changed.
They've changed, yes. Who would have known in Florida? It's like
I know
ice
it.
cream in Florida, and now I'm getting fat at lunchtime.
And
I hope my wife's not listening.
well, and you mentioned, we talked a lot about printing, but what other type of services do you offer?
Well, we do any general printing, business cards, forms, letterhead, envelopes, invoices, anything that you could think of that puts ink on paper, we're involved in it. Other services, I do have a large format printer so on site, so we can do banners and posters, and mounted prints, laminations. We started doing more pop-up displays, banner flags. Some services we do in-house, and some services we send out for. And every operation kind of runs the same.
Right.
And the reason I do it this reason, and I tell my clients if I'm sending the job out, if I'm doing it in-house, I want my client to know where their job and how the job is being handled. And sometimes, and most times actually, if we hit a certain price point on a production job, I'll turn around and say, listen, I could farm this job out and save you money. Because if I try to produce the entire job in-house, it's going to cost more for me to produce it in-house than for me to farm it out, and I can give you a lower price point. And that's just, limitations of the press size and how things work nowadays. So, we do a lot of things. Recently, I had a guy come in yesterday. He wants us to start selling T-shirts. He's another local business. He wants to be a vendor, a T-shirt vendor for small businesses like mine, and he came in and he's going to set up a display this next week in my shop, and we're going to try to do a little T-shirt business together, help his business get off the ground, expand my business. So there's a lot of different things that we do print-wise in my shop. The best thing I could tell my client, anybody who's listening, is come in and see me. Because if I don't do the service, or I don't feel comfortable in providing the service because I have to farm it out, I'll recommend someone in town, or if I know someone that does it, I'll recommend them. Because I want you to feel like if you have any questions at all, you can come to me. I want to be that print guru.
You want to be a resource.
Yeah, I want to be a resource. I don't have to sell you the business every single time, but I want to be able to help you out and know that if I give you advice or I give you a recommendation, it's correct and it's good recommendation.
Well, we had a question come in. How about magazines? Do you do magazines?
Short run, yes. Generally speaking, you can do short run magazines up to the 1,000 price point. After that, we might have to farm it out.
Okay.
Anything higher than that, after you get after 10,000 of farming it out, my recommendation is you got to go to a web printer. It's a totally different source of printing, but there's a couple of ways we can run that job, and then from depending if I can handle it in-house, if I have to send it out, or I have to recommend you to someone to get it done.
Well,
I've noticed on some of the proofs and stuff that you've sent over to us that the color on my monitor doesn't necessarily always match the end product, which I always like the end product. But
that's a loaded that's a loaded question. Every monitor is different. The way you have the screen color set to the temperature of the screen color. The other problem is, and I see a lot of this happen when clients bring me work. In the blues, especially, they have blue on their screen and it prints out purple, and they want to know how come I have blue but it keeps printing purple. And that's just our machines run in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That's what all color printers pretty much run. There's a few select printers that don't. Very rare, very few, but 99% of our printers at home in my shop are CMYK values. And the trick is to get that color to print blue is if you take 100% cyan, make your color 100% cyan, and make your magenta color 70% magenta, okay? And you zero out the rest of the colors, yellow and black, right? When you're making your color on the computer, your color will come out blue. You go over that 30, if you go over that 70, 100,